All right, well, 6:05, let's roll. So I'm going to introduce on our side. I'm Eric Teray. I'm with Deerfield Village Community Association. I'm the president. There are folks here that are from the board that's in the audience. I'll let them say their names.
I'm John Devine.
Jason Nace.
And then there might be some on the call as well.
Jim Hunt, I'm on the call.
Perfect. Thanks, Jim. And then from the MUD, we have
Neil Lansky, Harris County MUD 136, and Barry Greer of 136.
Do we have any else from the MUD that's on the call?
Adam Rodriguez online.
This is Brent Phelps. I'm online too.
All right. Then that's everybody on our end. If you want to go ahead and introduce your end.
Well, I'll start if that's all right with you guys. My name is Gary Struzik. I'm one of the board members for West Harris County Regional Water Authority. With me also is Mike Thornhill, your representative on the board. We have Troy Anthony. He's our program construction manager with project surveillance. We have Chase Jewell. He will be your construction manager for segment C1. Rosie Martinez with Holloway Communications is kind of coordinating this. We also have the president of Holloway, Leslie Holloway. She's here. We have Brittany Little with Holloway. And we have Shay Sullivan with Holloway. Am I right with that? All right. Then Wayne Arns, our engineer with West Harris County from day one, and he's committed to seeing this thing through until all the projects and all the pipes are built through 2035. Right, Wayne? All right. So anyway, what I'd like to do is just give you a quick synopsis of what we're doing here. Our surface water supply project is the name that we've classified this area so that you guys can understand some of the details of what we're doing. We're taking water from Lake Houston all the way west, about 55 miles in total in terms of pipelines. The projects that you all are most interested in right now are in your backyard. We're calling it Project C1, and it goes from west of you at Westville Village Drive east to Highway 6. It's an 84-inch line. That was C2. They're about 10 miles total in length. And Mike Thornhill is going to speak more to that here in a few minutes. But what we did, your contractor for your segment is S.J. Lewis Construction. Good, big-time outfit. Before we selected S.J. Lewis for our construction project, we pre-qualified a number of contractors with a lot of detailed criteria so that we would get not only a good bid, but we will also get a qualified bidder. So the contractors were pre-qualified according to their experience and ability to perform a project of this size and scope. And all the contractors that bid on this job were pre-qualified. So they had to go through a rigorous effort before we got here. And 6 contractors met that criteria, and we selected S.J. Lewis for your project through your area. So with that, I'm going to step back and I'm going to turn it over to Mike Thornhill.
All right, thanks, Gary. And I know some of you know what the West Harris County is, but some may be new to the area, just moved in. So just give a real quick background on that and why we're even doing this project. So the West Harris County Regional Water Authority was created in 2001 by the Texas legislature for the purpose of establishing a long-term supply of drinking water, well, something other than well water. So this project is one of the many water line projects being constructed in the area to meet both the Harris-Galveston Subsidence District and Fort Bend Subsidence District groundwater reduction mandates for 2025 and beyond. These requirements are aimed at reducing land subsidence, which is the sinking of land, and this can lead to increased flooding issues and things like that. So your drinking water right now comes from 2 main sources, either surface water and groundwater. The surface water is water stored above the ground, such as in a river or lake. And in our case, or your case, it's Lake Houston, actually. And while groundwater is found beneath the Earth's surface in underground aquifers, it is then pumped out of the ground using your 2 wells. In the greater Houston area, the continual pumping and withdrawal of groundwater over the last several decades has caused and continues to cause land subsidence. To halt this effect, by the year 2025, 60% of all water used in this area must come from something other than well water. So that's the reason for the surface water supply project. So now for more specific information on the segment or the project that's crossing Deerfield Village, I'm going to turn it over to Troy Anthony, who can, like Gary said, he's out there in the field managing this project for you.
Yeah, Rosie, did you have the slide to pull up? We got a PowerPoint to kind
Yes,
of.
we're about to share that with
Hold
you
on.
all.
Troy, are these the questions we submitted in advance?
No, this is just some general information discussion points that do relate to some of those questions. We can certainly go through your questions as well.
Nope, that's perfectly okay. Just wanted to be sure where we're at. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and chime in for a second. Gary and Mike gave a really good introduction and just general information about the project. And we had a video queued up and it was basically repeating the same information. So Eric, if we want to go ahead and play that, we can. But Gary and Mike pretty much covered a good chunk of that information. So you let us know if we want to go ahead with the video or we want to go ahead and jump into our presentation.
Let's go ahead and jump into the presentation because I think we've seen the video, most of us, but thank you.
Perfect. So Tom, we can go ahead and advance to that first slide. There we go. And I'll give it up to Jason Troy.
All right, so this is the overall limits of the C1, which you probably have seen this exhibit a few times. I'd like Chase to kind of pull up. We do have some maps that is more specific to your area that we want to kind of go through the alignment of the 84 through this area, which essentially goes from Barker Cypress to Windsong.
Sorry, I'm trying to, Troy. I don't know who's sharing right now, but we'll have to stop and start mine. Okay, I believe that should be working there.
All right, so you see there Barker Cypress. We have a tunnel that goes under Barker Cypress, but at that point, from Barker Cypress east, I guess we need to shift down to the next. You can see Tarnbrook there as well. Can we zoom in on that, Chase?
Sure.
Yeah, obviously that's an area of concern for our residents because that's an area that you're not tunneling under, I believe, right?
Yeah, so Tarnbrook is an open cut road, and the way we're doing it is there's a traffic control plan in place that essentially blocks the road at both ends. You have access to both sides of this pipeline easement, and we'll keep local access along through there, but we'll basically block it off so we can get that pipeline laid through there. Then shortly after we get it laid through there, we'll put back temporary a roadway so we can get you open back up. And then we'll also be planning to put the concrete back as soon as possible. That's essentially about a 2-week process is what the contractor has estimated at this time.
I have a question about that. This is Neil Polanski with Mud 136. We have a 10-inch sewer line and an 8-inch water line that traverse the greenbelt at Tarnbrook. And I suppose that you're going to be tunneling under those lines. Are you going to have to go deeper, or is there a possibility that the lines may be interrupted at any time?
So the way it lays out at this point, we're not going to be tunneling. It's definitely an open cut situation. The water line we don't anticipate touching although we're still in the process of doing our critical locates, which means that the contractor goes out and actually physically verifies through excavation means to get the location of the water line. On the sewer line, though, however, it's designed into our project, since it's going to be over us, that we have to put essentially a ductile iron or steel pipe across there for environmental reasons. So that
Sorry,
part-
Troy, I'm gonna correct you real quick. It's under us, but we do come back with restrained joints.
Okay, so we are going to be replacing that, and what we do, it's going to be bypass pump. So we will have to coordinate with Mud. That is Mud 136's line. Neil.
Yes.
Okay, so that there will be some coordination effort there, but we don't anticipate touching the water line.
Okay, just so I'm clear, this is Neil again, just so I'm clear, there may be some interruption in sewer.
There will be in terms of taking the line out, but we're going to provide bypass pumping, so it shouldn't really be interrupted. So, but we'll let you know. We'll coordinate with you to let you know when it's going to happen. But we're going to keep the flow going through bypass pumping while we replace that with ductile iron. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, the line will be interrupted, but the service will continue as normal.
That's correct. So part of the coordination will be to try to find a good time within the day to get that done. It shouldn't take more than a day or two to get that work complete. All right, so moving further east, so you can see the red line is essentially our 84-inch, and the purple line there is our existing 36-inch that we've already brought through your area. So we're going to be south of that existing 36-inch.
I'm sorry, going back to the Tarnberg, how long is that? Did you say how many days that was going to be that the street will be unpassable? Is that 2 or 3 days?
No, that's about 2 weeks. We're basically doing a road closure so that we can get across there, both lanes at one time. And then we can potentially open it back up with some temporary until we get the paving crew in there. But that's scheduled directly after as well. So it's about 2 weeks. But we'll keep access to local traffic, both sides of Tarnbrook, but we just won't be able to pass through there, to cut across that area. So any other questions in this area? Chase, can you go to the next sheet as well?
Yes.
Just so you guys are aware, we have kind of a interim time completion that we built into the contract, that we've got to get this section done while we're out of school. So during the summer months, we've got to get the pipeline laid through from Tarnbrook to Winsong Trail, actually past Winsong Trail to the east side during the summer months. So we're going to be starting on this pretty soon, pretty much early June.
Troy, did we lose them?
No. Rosie, do you see them still?
I don't see them.
I know the storms are picking up pretty good around here. I live right down the road from 136.
Yeah, I think we lost them.
I was gonna say, I'm in town, but we have really bad thunderstorms happening here.
Well, hopefully they call back in.
Adam, are you reaching out to them?
It looks like they're trying to come back in there.
Somebody's joining back in.
We're coming back. Sorry about that. Our internet went down. Sorry about that. Our internet went down.
Okay, we got you back. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
We can hear you. And we have the map on visual.
Okay, good. All right, so what I was telling you guys, that we have a contractual requirement to get this section done during the summer months. And so that's this summer based on the schedule. And the reason for that is this school right here you see. And so from Tarnbrook to east of Windsong Trail, that's the section we're going to be trying to get done during the summer. I didn't know if you guys were aware of that or not.
No, the question from the audience was from Barry, that was, are you working from west to east, or are you going from east to west?
The plan right now is to follow the stationings here. You see, they go from basically west to the east. However, I'm going to have some conversations with the contractor to potentially go from east to west so that we clear the school area. If we get that done early, I mean, so we're going to have that discussion. But right now, the way they've got the pipe built at the factory and coming out is essentially from the west to the east and following the same stationing. So we're going to try to get them. Contractually, we don't have it in there to force them to start from the east side, but there's a couple issues. One's the school. The second issue is that Windsong Trail is being reconstructed by the county at some point. And Wayne may know the time frame, but we know it's coming pretty soon. We really want to get past that area.
Troy, this is Barry with Mud 136. A couple of things. Is the total segment C1, is it going to be constructed basically from west to east?
That's correct. We've already started at the west end, which is, if you know where our central pump station site is, off of Fry Road, just north of Clay Road. It starts along this same pipeline easement at Westfield Village. So that's where we have started. In terms of laying that first joint, we're still doing our prove out. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, but it basically, the prove out essentially says, hey, show us that you know how to compact the soil around this size pipe, do it in the lifts, that's required. We test it as it goes, and then we lift the pipe up and make sure there's no voids. So that's one of the things that we implemented into this job that may not have been in the last job. So we're trying to prevent some of the settlement issues that we had before. But to answer your question, go ahead.
Second thing, Windsong Trail is the big construction project has been tabled. We understand that they're just going to resurface it. So.
Yeah, even the resurfacing, I'd rather have that done after we've cut across there and we don't mess it up again. So it's the same two issues. We don't want to be in Windsong Trail because the school access is off of Windsong Trail. That's part of their access drop off. It's probably both Keith Harrow and Windsong Trail. And so we're going to have that discussion. But if it has been tabled, is the resurfacing going to happen anytime soon, or do you know?
Yeah, it's supposed to start in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
What's the limits? Does it go all the way down to Clay Road?
Keith Harrow to Clay.
Okay, all right. Well, let me try to get some more information on that. Chase, on that one, it's just open cut. There's not a casing, right?
Correct, just open cut.
Yeah, it's just open cut. If there's a casing, we could install that now and then thread through. But we do have to talk to them about potentially doing it from east to west, or at least getting that Windsong Trail done. That's the main thing.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of projects that are going on right in that area. So A, Windsong Trail is being resurfaced. B, Wilson is being remodeled. And there is a fence there that they were supposed to put that they're backing back. That I guess you've talked to Josh maybe, who's coordinating that construction, and they're moving the fence back a little bit. And then of course there's your project all going on this summer. So quite a bit of activity.
Did you all say that Windsong Trail is going to be open cut?
That's correct. It's going to be open cut, but not like Tarnbrook. Tarnbrook's a road closure because we had access both sides. Windsong Trail actually has temporary asphalt lane that gets put in off to the east side, right? Chase, is that right? To the east side. And then, so we open cut half at a time, but we got to get past that half. So we got to put in additional lane. We keep traffic going through there, but it's essentially goes down to a 1 lane each way.
1 lane total.
And is that also for a 2-week period?
No, that should be less in terms of just getting it open back up. We did, it's probably 3 days of getting the pipe across there, and then we got to put the temporary back in. We can get that opened up, and then we'll have to schedule, the asphalt as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So in terms of some of the other issues through here, just to bring up, there will be, so we have the major pipeline work is what gets done during the summer, but that doesn't get everything done. So there's a few things that come prior to, so we'd like to get going pretty soon. I mean, we're getting up against June right now, but in terms of the tree protection and landscaping plan, we don't anticipate any tree removals in this area. We've walked the job. I don't think you guys have any landscaping that's in this easement, in our easement. The easement that you're looking at is a little wider than our easement, and we have to stay within our easement. So ours is 50 feet. We're required to put some temporary fencing along it to kind of keep people out of it. But back to the tree protection. So we don't anticipate any trees, but we will have to trim some of the trees. So that's some of the work that will be done prior to construction, prior to the pipeline work. The other thing we're looking at is removing the light poles. I mean, the contractor has already dug them up. I don't know if you saw some of the dirt disturbed around the light poles. They wanted to see what kind of conduit was installed to them so that they knew what to put back. But they're basically going to remove those light poles and put them in storage. And then we're also have some site restoration plans. We are going to pretty much block off this entire sidewalk through this area, and put some signs up that basically say no pedestrian and bicycle traffic. And then the other thing we're going to have is it's going to be a chain link fence along the school area. We really don't want kids or anybody, trying to get in and out of there, because the construction is we may be laying pipe, at Tarnbrook, but the construction is all up and down of it. We may have dump trucks that run down the easement that's removing the soil and maybe bringing pipe down. So it's not just a localized area. We're trying to block it off so that we have full access to get the work done and get through here. Chase, what was was there another preliminary thing that we were going to do that you could think of? I thought there was one more.
I would say critical locates, but we've already done most of those.
Okay.
Locating the sprinkler lines, irrigation, I think is a pretty important one for us as well.
Do you guys have a landscaper that does that could potentially help, a contact?
We do have a landscaper. Oh, you talking to me?
Yeah, anybody that does the maintenance on that. Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, we do have a landscaper that we can put you in touch with that knows the area.
So one, we'd like to know what's there, know what we're dealing with, but then after we're done, we want to make sure it gets put back right. So somebody needs to kind of be with us and go through it.
Yeah, so you mentioned you're going to do some tree trimming, and then some of the sidewalk is going to be closed. There is a small section over there by the baseball field that there is sidewalk that you're probably going to step on. When we had discussions earlier, you guys said, we'll replace that sidewalk if it's destroyed.
Yeah, that's correct. We've got sidewalk replacement plans that show the limits. They kind of go slightly beyond the easement. And
yeah.
So we should have not only silt fencing, but this temporary fencing up on both sides of our easement. So we really shouldn't, and it's enough to work in. We shouldn't be crossing that easement. But if for some reason we damage beyond that, absolutely, we're going to replace it. Also, just wanted to mention, so we got pre-construction photos. We also have aerial drone photos that we've done flyovers, and we're talking about doing that periodically as well. And then we're also gonna have our own video. Chase and I are gonna video this so that we know what's there now, and if we have any issues, we can go back, and we got plenty of documentation of what's there now.
Okay. Kind of deviate for just a second, ask one question that it kind of came up is hours of operation. When will that construction be going on? And you may address this later, but is that 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 p.m. or do you have an idea of where we can hear, you know, trucks backing up and work construction going on?
Yeah, so we do have hours in the contract. I believe it's 8 to 6. Is that right? I don't have it in front of me.
And is that Monday through Friday, or does that include a Saturday, or is it 7 days?
They have to get approval to work Saturdays. But once we block this off, I mean, we would like to work Saturday so that we get through here. So we're done. I mean, you can't use it anyway. It's kind of blocked off on both sides.
Right. Okay.
I have to look at the specific hours in the contract and get back to you.
It's roughly 8 to 6 is what I recall.
Right. And since you're going to be removing some of the lights that go across that green belt, and I know you probably don't know how many there are right now, but
9, I think.
There's 9? Okay.
9. Yeah.
So obviously we kind of, those lights serve as security as well as lighting up the sidewalks. Will you guys have any kind of temporary lighting?
The answer is no. There's nothing called for in the contract. We just don't have anything like that. I don't know if is there any that we don't, that are outside the limits. I mean, there might be a couple left, but you know, we're
you sometimes see in the parking lots where they have those temporary lights that run on a generator or they charge during the day.
Yeah, the only problem with those is they light out. You know, they don't light down, and they'll light up the neighbors.
Generator normally pretty loud as well.
All right, so that may not be something we want to do. All right, thank you. Keep going. I'm sorry.
All right, so other than that, the thing I wanted to talk about is, so we talked about some of the stuff prior to, we talked about our contract time that we have to do the pipeline. And then, so one of the other things that we put a lot of effort in the design is to ensure that immediately after installing the pipeline that we get this restored. And so we put some time limits in there. We built it into their schedule. We also built it into their payment of the pipe. So 10% of their payment of the pipe gets paid when the restoration is done. Now, this restoration is also tied to this summer months here, but that's one of the things we did. So we can get this, we're planning to get this restored back immediately. And so that will be within that time frame, but there will be some additional things in the future. So we'll have to come back in and install air release valves inside of our manholes. We're gonna have to come back in and get the lights installed. There's a cathodic protection rectifier for the existing 36-inch that we've got to come back in and install, but nothing that we think that will mess up with the surface restoration. The goal here is to be done with this and the hydromold seating put back and growing back in, and the sidewalks back, and get this put back into use. So that's kind of the stuff after the fact that you kind of need to be aware of. I don't want you to think, hey, we're completely done. In the future, we're going to have to do some testing, some flushing, disinfection, things like that, that we're going to come back in. So there's one other critical element in this pipeline laying through there, and I think some of you guys are aware of it, but it's a 96-inch storm crossing that's existing there. I know that we've had issues in the past, a big sinkhole around and the existing 36-inch manhole. And I know that after Harvey, we had more issues. And so in that case, when we go through there this time, we're actually removing and replacing that 96-inch. And we actually put in extra limits so that when we we go cut into it, and we can go in there and inspect that and make sure the joints look good. And if we need to replace more, we will. And then that gets completely backfilled with cement stabilized sand. We got a solid structure, and then our pipeline, we're going over that. No, we're under it, right? You know, aren't we under that, Chase? The 96-inch. I'm pretty sure.
I don't want to answer you wrong. 1 second.
Yeah, let me look at it too. But that's one that I believe we're underneath it. And we've got some bins that it's not just so if we go underneath it. And so we've got to get deeper in that section. And so that's going to slow us down just a little bit. We got to put those bins in and remove that storm. Again, bypass pumping, that's on the contractor. We'll maintain that. We'll make sure we do that quickly so we don't have any kind of issues with storm through there.
Troy, I like what you're saying there because we've had a lot of problems with sinkholes in that area, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. We tried to, some of those issues were lessons learned, and we tried to incorporate some of those into the design as well. So that just like some of that settlement issues, the prove out's going to help. As Gary suggested and talked about, we've got qualified contractors. We're actually going to do some additional testing in this area. So the specs have a limited testing, but I'm authorizing additional testing. It doesn't cost us any more. The guys there. So we're gonna put some extra effort towards the testing. The other thing that's good in this case is that we're doing your section in the beginning of the job, which means we get done. This is a 3-year job roughly. So we've got 3 years of the contract still going, that if we got issues, and then we have our warranty period, almost like we got an extended warranty period on this section. So, but we're trying to minimize. I see you smile. We're trying to minimize any of these issues that we know we had in the past.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, Troy, I'd like to say something on the construction real quick. Sorry about that. So the contractor they're not going to open up the whole easement at one time. They'll lay, 50 feet at a time with probably 100-foot max of trench open at one time. So they'll lay a pipe, go to the next pipe, lay that one, backfill. So obviously it's not going to be one linear excavation like we've just had some people ask that question in the past. So I wanted to address that.
Yeah, you're not going to have an open trench the entire distance. We are going to block off the easement. But you're not going to have an open trench the entire distance. We're going to open up what we can lay, and we have 50-foot joints, and then we're going to backfill that, and then we're going to open up the next section. And the same, at least what the contractor said, the sidewalk will get removed as they do that. So we're not going to come in early and just go remove all the sidewalk. We're trying to keep that there until we're ready to get in there and start working. And then we'll shut it down, and then it's just those summer months.
So they're going to be 50-foot sections plus whatever space you need to work with, of course.
Yeah, the 50-foot is the length. The width is basically the 7-foot to 84-inch pipeline plus two foot on either side. So you're looking at 12 feet trench width by 50 foot.
Going back to the timing, obviously this is a summer project, so I'm assuming you're trying to get it done by the end of August. Is that a fair statement?
This section from Tarnbrook to Winsong Trail is we're trying to get it done by the end of August. The goal is to not be impacting the school.
Perfect. I like the idea though of starting perhaps at going east to west. That way, if you get behind for any reason, weather delays or whatever, at least we know that the school is not interfered with. We're way away from that. Where do you plan on bringing your trucks in and out? Is that going to be from Winsong, or is that going to be from Barker? Or does it just matters where you're at in the project?
Yeah, Barker Cypress is a busy road. I don't recommend it. It's probably going to be Tarnbrook, since we've got that blocked off anyway. Tarnbrook, okay. and then also Winsong Trail.
Okay.
We do.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, we've got in there to replace the fence at Barker Cypress. I mean, that's a potential. But we're tunneling underneath all that, so we don't really need to do that.
Right. Okay, what about the start date? Obviously, you started marking things. We're seeing activity out here. When do you think the first shovel or the first piece of construction will start happening? Do you think that's in June?
Well, we think the tree trimming is gonna be early June, and then maybe a week or two after that, you'll start seeing us bring the pipe in.
Okay.
This is Brent Phelps with Med 136. So on the surface profile, or right now, there's kind of a bump over that's higher. It's higher than it used to be. So is it going to return to how it is now, or will enough dirt be hauled off to make it flatter like it was before the first pipeline went in?
Well, the way the contract's written is we put it back to the grade that's there now, because that's what we would have surveyed to do the job. I'm surprised that it's higher, because I knew we had some settlement along there, so that surprises me. But I mean, right now we're putting it back to the natural grade, and that natural grade is what's surveyed. And I mean, we have it on our plans if you want to see it specifically. But that's what the contract says. Put it back to the existing conditions. Is there drainage issues or anything, or?
Well, there's no drainage that can go across it because the water runs north from it and south from it. There's a ridge there now that didn't used to be there.
Well, I know there's some swells that carry most of the drainage. Actually, there's even inlets along there already, at least on the north side, right there between Tarnbrook and the school property. So it's already designed, that area is already designed to carry the water out. So I don't know that we definitely don't want a lake over our pipeline either. So.
Well, and it's good you have a compaction procedure. That's excellent that you're addressing that. I had that on my list to ask what your compaction procedure was. But you mentioned.
So they actually have to prove out their compaction. It's a bank sand that goes around the pipe. It's the embedment that goes around the pipe and up to 1 foot above the pipe. And so we don't tell them specifically, there's different methods of doing it, but they have to prove their method works. And so the method that really works is doing it in the appropriate lifts, which is called for by the specs, and packing that sand underneath the bottom part, from the bottom up to the spring line, which is the center of the pipe. That's the most important part. So.
And I had one final question about the 24-inch T off the existing pipeline that goes to our water.
Along Barker Cypress?
In any way, or is that, there'll be no tap off the new line, right?
No, these two lines are not, they're not connected at all. The 84 goes straight to the water plant, and then a 66-inch, which is also in this contract, comes out and reduces down and ties back into that 36-inch that feeds you guys. So you'll actually, at some point, we got our central pump station up and running, you'll be closer to the main plant. You're kind of further away from the Harms Road plant at this point. So you may have better pressures. But yeah, it's a 36 by 12, I think, or 16 is what that connection is right now. Because that's you're talking about 136, right? Goes down Barker Cypress.
Yes.
Yeah, through the tree farm. Actually, that is a bigger line, because we feed on down to some other muds. Yeah, you're right. But it's a 36 by 24 T, but we're not touching it.
Thank you.
Troy, one question. This is very rare. The tunneling equipment at Barker Cypress, is it set up on the east or west side of the avenue?
they're setting it up on the west side, and it's a hand mine operation. So they'll be from the west side, and then they'll thread through, and it'll be less of a burden on the east side, which is your concern, and then it'll be just an open cut tie-in operation.
Thank you.
Quick question regarding going back to the tree trimming. Thinking of those residents that may get their trees trimmed as a result of the need there. How will they be notified that they are affected or not affected?
So I think most of the trees, if you actually look at our easement in relationship to the overall easement, we don't really go up to the fence line. So I believe that most of these trees that are impacted are already in the bigger easement and not really in the residents' property. We can look at that more, but we can certainly, once we know when they're going to be there, we can certainly, there's not that many residents, I think, that it impacts. We'll certainly reach out to them to make sure that we're not going to be touching their tree.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure to have a conversation with them ahead of time. If that, they may choose to trim it themselves rather than trim it. I always give that option. We've got another project going on right now where that's the option where the resident can trim before the fence, or we could do it.
I think it's a good idea. We'll definitely do that.
Okay.
Well, I'll just continue taking questions. I think I hit all the highlights of what I wanted to talk about. Rosie, is there anything else in that PowerPoint that we missed?
Was there a contact number or something that we wanted for residents to contact?
Actually, did your residents get the brochure? Holloway put together a great brochure. We sent this out like at the beginning of January. So they should have gotten that. We've got plenty more of those, and we can email them or whatever. But and then we do have some contact information as well. Yeah, so here, we do have this.
I think if you could drop some off at or send some to Kat in the office, she can always pass around. But we'll add it to our monthly newsletter and our normal communication. But most importantly, that we have it, because they always call us first.
Well, if y'all have a point of contact, or I mean, it could be any one of you. I want you to know that our administration office that we selected is central to our program, and our actual contractor office is right down the road as well. You call Chase or I, we can meet on site anytime.
Great.
Probably, this is Gary. Want to make a suggestion? Could we add this link to our surface water supply project website? We haven't talked about the websites yet, but we have two excellent websites. One is the West Harris County Regional Water Authority website, but then there's a specific website called the Surface Water Supply Project, and it has several links in there. And one of the links is related to construction. You go over there to construction and click on segment C, and you can pan down and see the drawings or the exhibits, that some of which have already been shown, and zoom into there, and they could actually look at the exhibit themselves. But we could add this information. I know it's already on there under contacts, but maybe we ought to put this specifically under C1 and C2 so that people can find it in two different places. Troy, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea. The more ways we get it out there, the better. We'll also be putting our project sign. We've got some, they put it on skids so that we can kind of move it around where we're working. So we'll have, Chase, we'll put that project sign right here in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we'll set it at Tarnbrook.
Yeah, so, you know, it's got my number on it, same number. That's my cell number. Y'all call me anytime.
I'd like to make one other, this is Gary one more time. I'd like to make one other statement. Under that construction website on the surface water supply, there is an excellent drone video along this route. It's 18 minutes long. You can speed it up twice as fast as it was taken and get through it. And about 5 minutes into that video, it starts west of here. And about 5 minutes, it gets through Deerfield Village to your area of concern. So you could go in there, you could slow it down, you could look at it more in detail. It was taken last summer, June of 2020. Good stuff, good information. And you can see what our contractor will be dealing with. And as we get new information out there, we may post new information, construction photos and others on this website. So I would encourage you guys, when you get a chance, to take a look at some of that.
Thank you.
I've got a question. This is Neil Polanski with 136 again. We have a lift station at Walnut Cove in the Greenbelt. I'm going to go ahead and assume that given the relative width of the ditch compared to the pipe, that the lift station will not be impacted. Is that a good assumption on my part?
Trying to think where that is. Is that where you got that?
It's Walnut Cove is just east of Tarnbrook.
Is that one of the cul-de-sacs that comes from the north or the south?
Comes from the south.
The
Street
south.
enters from the south and terminates at a cul-de-sac at the Green.
Yeah, it's where that sidewalk turns and goes south. You got that open space. Is that right?
It's fenced.
I think I know where it is. Chase,
that drawing up.
yeah, if we could pull that drawing back up, I think I know where that is.
Yeah, it's a street right to just the east of Tarnbrook. I'll pull it up.
Walnut, there it is, Walnut Cove. Is that within the fence property or is it outside the fence?
Is it? Oh, yeah.
I don't know. That my question is whether or not it's going to be impacted by the construction.
Yeah, it doesn't show up in our easement. It should not be impacted by the construction. And there's definitely not a line crossing us in that location. So it must go down Walnut Cove. Is that correct? Or at least in some backlot easement. You know which direction it runs, the force main?
I believe it's probably a gravity line and it probably runs from the lift station down Walnut Cove. I'm not positive, but no, we don't have a sewer line at Walnut Cove that crosses the easement.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, in that area, there's nothing that's impacting our construction, which means that we're not going to impact it as well. I don't anticipate impacting that lift station. It doesn't even show on our drawing. So I think it's inside of the fence line or south of the fence line.
I think we show a 10-inch running from west to east, Troy, but we do show it on our drawings. It's just outside of the easement.
It's outside of our easement, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's not in our impacted area.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Jason Nace. Just curious as far as like how many workers will be with this contract company, and do they have a staging area for parking, or what should we anticipate with kind of influx of personnel?
I anticipate the staging area to be in the Tarnbrook area. It's the only place that they'll have some streetage, and we'll have it blocked off. Personnel wise, it's probably like an 8-man crew, but you know, I've got inspectors that are going to be there. We're there in and out, just different people. There'll be some cars. Now we can, if they're working, let's just give, for example, at Tarnbrook, if they're working east of Tarnbrook, you know, and we're done, we've laid some pipe, we can park in there behind that as well, kind of get off the street. But Windsong's not an option, but we can actually park anywhere where we're not working. So we can, if we're working right there east of Tarnbrook, we can park in the easement that's from Tarnbrook to Windsong. So we can try to limit them on the street, but they don't want to be blocking any kind of loader traffic, dump truck traffic. So they kind of try to stay out of the work zone.
Yeah, it tends to get muddy too if we're running all the trucks on the easement on the street. So
there's a pretty good area to park along both sides of Tarnbrook, since we're going to have it basically blocked, road closure at both ends. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we certainly try to have that discussion with them to limit it if you think it's going to be an issue there.
Troy, this is Barry Greer. I'm assuming that part of the contract is street maintenance every day, cleaning up, because those trucks will be tracking the mud, considerable mud out of the easement, I'm sure.
that's part of the SWIP plan. So the SW3P requires them to keep dirt off the road so that dirt doesn't travel into inlet whatnot.
And our inspectors know to watch for that. I mean, we've got I'm sorry?
You all will police that really close.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Our inspectors will watch for that. We've got projects where we're running down the street exclusively right now, smaller lines, but they're constantly on them about keeping the streets clean.
Yeah, going back to Tarnbrook and parking that Jason just brought up, I guess, we have residents that are sensitive to parking in front of their houses, blocking mailboxes, not receiving mail, that kind of stuff. So if there's enough, area there for eight or 10 cars, I think that's not going to be a problem. If it gets bigger than that, we may want to talk about maybe utilizing some other parking that we have here.
Okay, well, we've got our progress meeting this week. We'll bring it up. We'll put it in it. We'll definitely discuss it.
Yeah. Mary just brought up, Peggy Wilson, since they should be closed, might be a great place for them to be able to park.
I prefer they stay on public or easement property. I don't really want them. I mean, there may be some security issues or something.
Yeah, all right. Well, the other option is we have a very small parking lot over by the baseball field, close to that easement. It's not that big of a hike, but as overflow maybe.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll offer that to them.
Yeah. I'd rather stay off the streets because I guess, if it's too close, then residents just really get concerned about not receiving mail or not having the nice visibility that they're used to seeing, out of their house.
Well, since our focus is pretty much going to be getting across Tarnbrook and then all the way across Windsong, I think we can try to maybe get them to park between Tarnbrook and Barker Cypress.
Okay.
So that's what we'll try to do.
That'll work. All right, we have one other question. Mark?
Yes, my name is Mark Tinney. I'm a Deerfield resident. I have a few questions for you specifically on the pipe itself. Have I heard you correctly that the diameter of the pipe is 84 inches on section C1?
Could you hear that okay?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't get it.
So the question, you can come up here, Mark. Did he hear you correctly about 84 inches?
Is the diameter of the pipe on section C1 84 inches?
It is 84 inches. 84 inches inside diameter.
What is the wall thickness of the pipe?
The wall thickness is roughly 3/8. And then there's also a mortar lining that's about a 1/2 inch. So you get a little bit, that's why I said 84 is the inside diameter. It's a little bit bigger than that, but not much.
What is the depth of the trench that you're going to dig?
The depth of the trench is essentially, we try to keep 6 to 8 foot of cover plus the depth. I mean the pipeline diameter. So it's roughly 18 feet, 16 to 18 feet, except for where we're crossing the 96 inch. That's quite a bit deeper. We've got to get the 96 inches, got some depth of cover. Then we got to get, a clearance under the 96 inch plus our 84. And that's why I mentioned that section. That's going to slow us down a little bit. But that'll be much deeper.
What is the distance between the top of the pipe and the ground level?
That's 6 to 8 feet.
And along this easement, I believe we're 8 foot.
8 feet? Yeah, 8 feet.
Inside Deerfield.
My final two questions are, which pipe mill in the United States is manufacturing this pipe?
This is Northwest Pipe. It's out of Dallas.
Do you know where the steel is being supplied from?
We purchased the steel coil. I don't have that information, but certainly could get it.
Hopefully it's manufactured in the United States.
Yeah, the pipe manufacturer is right here in Texas.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions from the audience here? I looked through my agenda that I had sent you, and it looks like you've covered just about everything on there.
I'll offer this up as well. This doesn't have to be a one-time meeting, and we can meet again, like in the middle of this. Yep. after we get going. So.
This is Adam from 136. I've got a question about the decision to tunnel versus open cut. The last time we had the authority into a meeting, we asked about we made the comment that this pipeline is going to serve Katy, whereas our surface water and our capacity and our treatment has been in place, and we've been kind of, I'm going to say, paying down that infrastructure for years. And the authority said that it's the same water rate for everybody and there's nothing they could do. Now it seems like there was a good opportunity here to tunnel under all the roads to provide, I guess, a benefit that was not available last time. So I'm curious why Tarnbrook and Windsong were not tunneled this time.
I'm sure it was probably a financial decision. You do save some money. In this case, we had this interim contract time. It also is quicker. If you it's 2 different crews if you're tunneling. We would have to be in there ahead of the pipe laying crew to get the tunneling done. The tunnel is slower. And so that probably weighed into it as well. I mean, we really just wanted to get through Deerfield as quick as we can, and that was contingent upon getting out of the school area. So those two, go hand in hand. You do try to save your constituents as much money as you can. If you tunneled every road across town that this program we got to do, it'd be a lot of money, and it would, it ultimately gets reflected in the rates. So that's just my explanation for it. I mean, we do have engineers on the line, but yeah, that'd be my explanation.
Yeah. Adam, this is Wayne Irons. A primary factor was disturbance to the neighborhood, like where we're open cutting. If we were tunneling that, like Barker Cypress, they will be with the shafts that have to be constructed, and then the tunneling operation, they'll be there for a number of months getting across there. So where Troy is telling you they can open cut that street and then be people back driving in 2 weeks. That's a big difference from having a tunneling operation on both sides as far as the disruption to the people, because generally when they're tunneling, they don't work an 8-hour shift. They work around the clock when they're tunneling operations. So it's just a lot less. It does save money to open cut, but it's a lot less disruption to the people that are immediately adjacent to it.
Yeah, this section's about 2,600 feet. I mean, we're kind of limited to try to get through this area in the way we have it designed right now. So we really wanted to try to streamline it.
One other thing, we all coordinate with, I guess, emergency services to make sure that the fire truck isn't trying to go down a closed off street.
Yes, we will. It's a good point.
And just so you're aware, all of the open cut streets, that was coordinated with the county up front to be sure that there weren't any streets that were going to be open cut that were prevented the emergency vehicles from getting to a particular area.
One additional question, this is Neil Polanski from 136. Has there been an estimate of how many truckloads of dirt will be taken from the site?
No, but it's an easy calculation. We can do it. It's just it's essentially the volume of that embedment that's around the pipeline.
All right, guys, we have any questions for the folks that are on the line that still have a question? And like Troy or somebody said, this will probably be the last conference we have. So we do have contact information for Troy and the group. And we won't hesitate to call you if we have questions after this. But at least this has been a real good conversation. It'll help us be able to combat questions that come from our residents, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll try to send out email updates as we know we're about to get in there and do something. And so we'll be sending those out as well.
Great. You mentioned that this is recorded. Is this available for any of the residents that couldn't attend tonight that might want to see this meeting again, or at least for a limited time, maybe?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and Rosie's on it too. Yeah, we're recording it for that exact purpose. So.
Great.
And as you know, Rosie is on the other end of the line. Whenever y'all have any questions at all, we'll get you answers as quickly as we possibly can.
Sure. Yeah, if you could provide that to Kat, we will we'll post it on our website for availability, because that's where our residents are used to going, and then they can click on that and see it.
We'll post it as well.
And okay, and Neil said he'll post it also on the MUD website, MUD 136 site.
Great.
Well, with that said, if there are no more questions, I thank you again one more time, and we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you too.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for reaching out.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.